Hey everybody, it's Christine Sienna Calabrese from What About the Dog with a video on 3 questions to ask yourself before getting a new dog, particularly a puppy, and 5 tips to keep in mind. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of people online. I want a dog. I've got puppy fever. Well, let me bring you the Tylenol and bring you back down to earth. Before you run out and get your new family member, I want you to ask these 3 questions, okay? Number one, do you have the time needed for a new dog, particularly a puppy? Puppies are just like babies. They require a lot of time and attention. That's 1. Number 2, do you have the energy required for a new dog, particularly a puppy? Puppies are endless balls of energy. Yes, they do sleep. They go through their sleeping spurts, but when they're up, boy, they are up. Okay. Number 3, do you have the money and the resources, or the money to get the resources that you will need for a new dog, particularly a puppy? I'm talking we need training. Training is essential. Be honest if you have the capability, the willingness, and the knowledge to train yourself, meaning do the training yourself versus going to a class. There are advantages to going to classes. They do cost money, but that socialization at the puppy level is so important. It's really worth the investment if you have a good trainer. I'll do a whole different video on training class, but I'm talking about training. I'm talking about vetting, okay? Because it takes more than food and water. You know, you're going to require vetting. God forbid there's an emergency. Dogs and puppies, that financially it adds up. Okay, so you have to really play that out. Think about it. The other thing, dog walkers. If you know you're a person that works like 8, 10, 12 hours a day, that's including travel, you cannot leave that dog crated or alone in a room or alone in the house all that time. Okay, it's not cool, it's cruel. So you would have to then pay to have a service come in and help take care of your dog. Are you equipped? Are you prepared to do that? If not, this might not be the time to do this, okay? Now, as far as the tips go, number 1, I always say adopt, don't shop, okay? I'll do a whole nother separate video on that as well, but I get a lot of people that say, oh, but I want a specific breed. I wanted this specific dog. Listen, there is a breed-specific rescue for every breed under the sun. All you have to do is go on Google. If you want to, like, say, a Chinese crested, go Chinese crested, Illinois, boom. You will find that group, that rescue. If it's not in your state, it might be in a tri-state area. Okay, so always go for the rescues. Okay, this ties into point number 2. People who shy away from the shelters and the rescues because they go, I want a puppy. I don't want someone else's problem. I want a puppy. I want to start from scratch. I want to start from the ground up. Listen, age and energy is everything, okay? So it might actually be in your best interest to get a younger dog or an adult dog versus a puppy, because, and I love my senior dogs personally. They're my faves because the older the dog, the more chill the dog. So I would actually weigh out the 2 of, you know, the energy level, the potential problems of having someone else's adult dog being adopted rather than, you know what I'm saying? It's worth it to me to have a slightly older dog to kind of chill that dog out a little bit. So please don't poo-poo a rescue. I like that, poo-poo. Don't poo-poo a rescued animal because you can't get a puppy, because that just might not work in your favor. You might be better suited with a more chill dog, depending on your lifestyle. Okay. Research your breed. This is the third tip, very important. A lot of people are impulsive buyers with dogs. They buy dogs based on aesthetics or something they heard in the news or something. This happens, look at 101 Dalmatians. Then all of a sudden, boom, there's like this big Dalmatian thing going on. Or worse yet, in the news not too long ago when there were those raids in the Middle East and people saw our hero dogs, the Malinois, and everyone had to have one of those. Listen, listen, listen. That's graduate level, baby. You aren't there yet. You need to master your super chill, like goofy yellow lab. You leave the Malinois and those dogs to the more experienced. You got to build up to that, because then people were running out trying to get those dogs, and you're not ready for that. Okay. As long as I'm on that topic, my pet peeve of all pet peeves in the dog industry is there are 5 groups of dogs, and one of them is a working group. That includes your shepherds, your Malinois, and other dogs of that nature. Working dogs need to work, okay? They need to work. They're very driven. They're very smart. They're very energetic. And nothing breaks my heart more than seeing German Shepherds that are not worked, they're not trained, they're not exercised properly, and they are neurotic. It is heartbreaking. I was just talking about this yesterday with a friend of mine. You can't take a dog like a German Shepherd or a Malinois and just expect them to be a lap dog or just lay around all day and just be, that's not what they're made for. So they end up getting a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and it's damaging. It's damaging, and it's cruel. It's just cruel. So really take your breed into consideration. Do the research on the breed. Okay, that's a very important consideration of what kind of dog to adopt. The other one, the fourth tip, don't bank on your children being the primary caregiver. I know a lot of parents go, oh, my kids need a dog. My kids talk me into, my kids are bugging me. My kids. Babe, you are going to be that primary caregiver no matter what they say. Okay, so let's be honest here. It's going to fall on you. The kids can help. Sure, they should. They can learn responsibility, but the primary responsibility is going to fall on you. So novelty wears off, poop gets old. Okay, so are you prepared for that? Okay, I'm saying don't put too much faith in the children being, really up on all that stuff. But you know your kids better. Okay, last but not least, the second most important tip I'd like to leave in this video is remember, there are no asshole dogs. There are only asshole owners. So I say that because puppies come to us as clean slates. Okay, what that dog turns out to be is primarily a result of what we do to that animal, the environment, the training, the exercise. And people that go and say that they don't want to go to the shelter because they don't want a dog that has all these issues and you don't know the history and all that one's wild and this one's not trained and this one craps in the house. A human failed that animal, okay? So, and these were all, check it out. These were people just like you, just like everybody who says, I want a puppy. I want a fresh start. And they failed that animal. So now that animal ended up in the shelter with a bad rap, pegged as an asshole because he wasn't raised right. So the people had good intentions, of course, in the beginning, but they couldn't follow through. So that's part of the reason I'm making this video, is to prevent this cycle from happening. Okay? It's up to us how our dogs turn out. So before you make this investment emotionally, financially, please ask yourself these questions. Take these tips into consideration, okay? Because this is a life we're dealing with here. And that dog's future is quite literally in your hands, okay? So please Share this video if you found it helpful, and remember to get a copy of What About the Dog at whataboutthedogbook.com and What About the Cat at whataboutthecatbook.com, both available on Amazon or at the addresses I just provided. Okay, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you soon.